Years ago, I was to go to a shopping mall with my neighbor and her 2-year-old son. My son was 5 at that time, and I thought this boy could use his car seat. He wasn't going to be a problem, or so I thought. As I opened the door and tried to strap this boy in, he refused, kicking and screaming. He wasn't going to enter into the car. I was at the end of my rope. So I begged, I cajoled, I pleaded. Still no, he wasn't going to be strapped. Hello and welcome on The Mindset. I am Yetunde Adenike.
On The Mindset with Yetunde Adenike.
Our trip to the mall was being delayed by a 2-year-old, and I didn't know what to do. Out of frustration, I turned to the mother for help, but her reaction floored me. She said, he doesn't like to sit in his car seat. Let's just take him like that. And I was like, what? No way. If you are going to come with me to the mall, this young gentleman will have to sit in his car seat. And not only sit, he will like it. So I turned to the baby and I said, Uncle, if you want popcorn, biscuits, and anything that is good that people get from shopping malls, then you have to sit down in this car seat. And not only sit down, you will sit down and you will like it. Because there was no way I was going to have an unrestrained baby ride in the car with me, not in Lagos. With its abundance of batty drivers who always had a reason to slam on their brakes, there was no way. The anticipation of popcorn and biscuits seemed to have done the trick, because the baby settled down and allowed me to strap him in. We had a wonderful time at the mall, and the baby was strapped in to and fro. At the end of the day, everyone was happy. I also made sure that I admonished the mother to ensure that this baby was always strapped in. Today on The Mindset, I am delighted to have with me someone who is as passionate about this matter as I am. She is a child safety advocate and convener at Strap and Save Child Foundation. Bolanle Edwards, you're welcome onto The Mindset.
Thank you so much for having me today.
You know that story I was telling you? The thing annoyed me. I was pained. I was furious.
I can't imagine.
You know, in my mind, how can a 2-year-old dictate to a grown woman,
a mother
adult woman, a mother for that matter, whether he wants to sit in the car seat or not?
I see this happen all the time. And that's why, I can relate with this story, because that was the reason why Strap and Save Child Foundation started about 11 years ago. And I took her statistics on our roads, and I discovered that a lot of children have been transported from one point to the other unrestrained.
Yeah.
So they're like a moving object in the car. It beats me, and usually by the time I get to my destination, I'm totally spent for the day, because I see myself trying to stop drivers to tell them to put their children in front to the back seat and strap them.
And what are your responses? Because the few
I have seen all sorts. I've heard
some of them, by the time they finish with you, you'll be like, all I was trying to do is save your child.
I know, right?
Save your...
and I was drawn to this staggering statistics about so many years ago when I saw that every 4 minutes, all over the world, a child dies.
Can you imagine?
So something somewhere is killing those children. 40% of it has to do with distracted driving, which can be somebody chatting and the child is in the car, somebody texting while the phone, somebody carrying a child that is unrestrained, someone who is grooming behind the wheels whilst driving.
Yes.
You see all sorts.
Well, that one is women.
Men groom as well. I've seen men who do their shaving whilst behind the wheels.
Are you serious?
Oh, yes, I've seen them. Taxi drivers most times though.
Shaving inside.
I see it all the time. So really, I've seen all sorts, like I said. And with this story that you shared with me, it was like you just speak to my brain. I think this happened about 4 years ago when we were over 4 years ago. The another story was another 4 years ago. About 10 years ago when we were having a road show with the FRSC guys. And we were on the road, right in the traffic there, we're just sensitizing. This is what we're doing every Thursday. Not that we're arresting, we were sensitizing the populace that, you know what, we know that is not really part of us. It's not a lifestyle here. But then we need to inculcate these habits.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Why do we go abroad and we pay? Because there's a fine, there's consequences.
Yeah.
But here we come back here and it's business as usual. So I saw this woman and the child was just moving around in the car. The child would probably be like 3 years. And I just wound down like, you know,
Jejely.
jejely that, madam, you know what you're doing can cost. She just looked at me like, what is your business?
Heavy.
Like, I don't have anything I'm doing.
Can you imagine?
Then, you know, she now started, there was a saying. She was beginning to get really aggravated, but I was keeping my calm.
Yeah.
Then the sector commander saw, the sector commander for Lagos State back in the day, then now came and said, madam, what's going on? I said, okay, I just stopped her to sensitize her, like we're doing to other people, that this child is not well restrained. She just started blabbing and screaming at me that, you know what, after all, he's not your son. What's your business? Why would you be telling me? Is it a law? Do I have to use a car seat? Then madam, the guy just said, you know what, the driver, can you please pull? Because it's in the Child Act law for Lagos State, but it's not implemented. So there's no arrest. There's a law. Apparently, there's a law. So they pulled her that, okay, fine, we cannot arrest them, but let's see other things that we can use to catch these people. Can we see your driver's license? It was fake. Can we check your fire extinguisher? He had none. Spare tire and call? So at the end of the day, he just said, you know what, we're impounding this vehicle. It was a Friday. So the car was impounded and she started pleading with me, saying that she was going through so much. I said, wow, madam, but you know that child, from that few seconds, it takes just a few seconds for an accident to happen, and that child is gone. I can't begin to tell you how many I have. Plenty stories.
I know you have plenty stories.
Plenty stories.
I know you have. When I was preparing this episode, I knew in my heart, I said, I don't care, even if you're in Australia, you must come and do this episode with me. Because I know this is your area. And this thing is, it's very common. It's rampant.
It's everywhere. And you know, because Nigerians do things, especially when there are no consequences. You know, when the guys in the uniform, at times when on the road and they stop you, number one, that fear is there that, hey, this guy is going to charge me. But when it comes to children, usually in this part of the world, people don't take this seriously. Children are usually put to the back burner. Like, what is the car seat? We are talking about food here. Have I eaten? You're talking about me putting a car seat. Do you know how much they're even selling one?
Meanwhile, they buy expensive cars. You have a car of how many millions?
And guess what? The people who are doing this are the very hoity-toity. The people in their luxury cars. You know, they can afford it. But they go abroad, they will do the right thing. They come back here, it's business as usual.
You know that I saw one day. He was sitting with his child on his laps and driving. And I'm not talking about maybe driving in an estate or something. On the main road, major road. Highway. But you know, in my mind, I'm like, should I chase this guy? Because traffic was moving. I've chased
several times. And there are times that I just ignore and say, you know what? I can't come and die. I can't carry more than the bereaved. Because if they don't see anything wrong in what they do, they're too bad.
You love your child.
There was one. Thank God. I mean, this is the other flip side of it. On Allen Avenue, some years ago, the child was actually put in a car seat. And somebody was going to actually kidnap that child. Hey! But that car seat restrained the child from being pulled out. But the person didn't know. And the next day just started screaming. And the officials came. And the guy took to his heels. How about that? You see that all of the time. How about the woman that I entered the banking hall one day. And I saw two children. I think the baby should be about 6 months. And the older one should be about 3 years. And she locked them up. No. And the car still was on. I was fuming.
For real?
I had my guys with me.
And she was in the banking hall?
She was in the banking hall. When I got to the bank, in fact, I just totally forgot. I mean, when things like this happen, I just carry it on like, this is, voila, yeah, put on the mode changes. I entered the banking hall, like, quoted the car number. The owner wasn't there. I screamed. I said, oh, you know what? I told my guy, I said, go and wait out there. Wait by the car and let's see who is going to come out to put out this. Let's know who is behind all of this. And when she came, in a very nonchalant attitude, she looked at me like, what the hell do you think you are? Do you think I don't have... And she just said, well, how do you expect to take two children into the banking hall? How do you expect me to take them? This one is little, that one is... And by the time she came down, the other one had started trying to fiddle with the car, the ignition.
Can you imagine?
She now told the girl, yeah, open. So we looked at her. I called the branch manager. I called the security people. I said, but you know this is on your call. On your watch. Exactly. This should never happen. Because if anything happened to those children, she parked, she did everything. And the car was smoking. Those children could have been suffocated. So she drove off. That's not the highlight of my gist. 48 hours after that, my guy that was with me saw her right in front of the FRSC office and they were trying to check her particulars. So she said she just parked and was looking. Because this is how we do our, you know, James Bond moves. At times where we
Exactly.
just go like, okay, we can't arrest, but then we have people who can do the arrest on our behalf. So we just started, and the guy was just looking. Okay, let me see what's going to come out of it. This is the same woman now.
This is the same
This
woman.
was just 48 hours ago.
Eh.
The guy asked for the driver's license. Ma'am, of course, it was fake.
You don't have that.
And then she was now pleading. He just came down from the car and said, officer, no way. You are going to arrest her because 48 hours ago, if you see the way she lambasted my boss and did like we don't even have our own children, we don't have what we're doing. And the next thing, she just said, you know what? Take that car inside. I will personally go and drop her with the children at home.
That's
And
a
this
human
happened
life.
all of the time. All of the time.
Not your handbag that you left in the car.
Absolutely.
In the car.
I even call it a moving object. It's like you just have something dangling in the car.
No, I'm talking about the
Lifeless.
one that left her children in the car.
Oh, yes. Oh,
in
yes.
this Lagos, where people
There
open
was
cars
one
and
that
drive
happened
away.
that the child was actually, I think, somewhere in Magodo. The child was and she went into the mall to go buy something. By the time she came, I think the car had gone into the car moved,
God.
and they found the car in the ditch, and the child was in the car. The stories are plenty.
There are plenty.
We won't
I have
even
said
finish.
it.
We won't finish
I
today.
said, there's always gist.
There's so much to
There's
say.
always-
There's so much to say, and that's why we also came up as a foundation that can we be the voice to these voiceless children?
Yeah.
So we came up with a communique on Children's Day in 2016. I had over 100 children. We walked on the road to the House of Assembly in Lagos.
Yeah, we have to be proactive.
And we told them, you know what? We're not going to do this by ourselves. We're doing it by the children. So the children came with a communique and presented to the rep members.
Yeah.
And two of them came and they read the communique. They were impressed. But then they were like, well, they will get back to us. I mean, if there were other very popular bills, you know, you and I know now, they would have sponsored it. But when it comes to children, what's there?
What's
Nothing
there?
much.
The
You know.
future.
Yes. So we sent them the communique and they said, we'll get back to you. And as we speak, this is 2023. But in 2017, we got a letter from the office of the governor, who now said that, okay, we should come and be part of their review of the Child Act, right? For that 2017. We were part of it, but really, there was no specific details on child seats.
Can you imagine?
Nothing like that. But I'm very hopeful. And we're going to rewrite them again.
Please.
I tell you, it's the stories you even hear. By the time you even hear from these guys on the road, FRSC and police people, they'll tell you how many children that die daily on our streets in Lagos.
Can you imagine?
How about the one that the child, the woman, you know how women can be too, getting very emotional about things instead of you to think with your head. Have their baby in front of her, you know, breastfeeding. Haven't you seen women who breastfeed while driving?
While
Oh,
driving.
yes, I do.
I thought I see a lot of things in Lagos, but apparently
I see that a lot. But this time around, our husband was driving and she was beside him. You know, some men at times, men can think that, how can I be driving you? Am I your driver? We get that a lot. There are times they will tell us, we get this feedback. We say, my husband will say, you cannot sit in the back. Sitting for what? Am I your driver? So right now is an egoistic thing too. So this woman had the baby and she was breastfeeding. And unfortunately for them, they ran into robbers. They robbed them, smashed the glass, and part of the broken glass got into the baby's eye.
my
And the baby
goodness.
became blind.
Oh my goodness.
How about that?
Oh my
I mean,
goodness.
when you hear such stories,
Oh my
it just
goodness.
bleeds my heart that don't wait to be part of the statistics.
I'm telling
This is what
you.
we tell them all of the time. We celebrate victims of road accidents,
Yes.
third Sunday in November, all over the world.
Yeah.
And the statistics, like I tell you, especially in this part of the world in Nigeria, all of the time. And that's why we're coming to that space, because the United Nations has given every nation that, you know what, everybody must at least try as much as possible to reduce these statistics to at least 50%. But in Nigeria, you and I know that it's even getting, it scares me at times, even when they're quoting the numbers, that really, are we quoting the real numbers here? Do we really know the
do we
numbers that are
really
staring in
know?
our face?
Do we really?
You
The
know?
ones that we don't know
You know?
are alarming enough. How
really,
much more if we
it's-
actually knew?
It's and that's why we're also taking it to public space now. We
Yes,
go to
now.
public schools, we go to
Yeah.
private schools,
Yeah.
empower the children,
Yes.
because when you give a child, you know, their brain is very spongy. You tell a child and the child will begin to train and even teach you the parents.
Yeah.
And that's what I see happen, because they will call me, our safety mama told us in school today that don't do this, don't do that. And the parents will come and say, Auntie Bola, we heard though, this is what you've been telling them. I said, yes, because your mind is already made up. Nothing can change again.
If adults cannot correct them, at least maybe when the children tell them, they will shame small.
I know, right? So at times we say this to the children.
Yes.
Children mock them that, no, mommy, I can't sit in front. Oh,
Yeah.
Stop
Yes.
and Safe Child came to our school today and said that we should sit until I'm 12 years old. That's when I
Exactly.
can sit in front.
Exactly.
And we're getting, and it's catching on.
It is.
It's catching. If only family, we can collaborate with. I mean, it's a stakeholders business here.
It is.
Parents, guardian, governments, everyone.
Corporate
is,
business.
and again, we don't get people to support such laudable projects.
No.
It is not entertainment. It's not.
And even if you
what do you have to tell us?
Remember when we did in transit?
Yes.
That in transit, we called. But you just do what you have to do.
Oh, really? We hope that now that the Sustainable Development Goals had said that every country has got till about 2030. I'm hoping that Nigeria will key into this so that by 2030, reduce drastically, to a very barest minimum so that we can reduce the children who are being killed on the road unjustly. And for me, the government must do more. You must do more.
Yeah.
The road infrastructure, furniture, and these are the things that will make it an habitable place for everyone to cohabit. Otherwise, we just keep losing everyone by the second. Yeah.
Well, we are waiting for government to do their own. You and I will not keep quiet.
We will not. We keep saying the thing we can do.
We can say it. We will say it. You will say it on the road. Me, I will say it on air. We will continue.
I do that all the time.
Yes,
all the time.
We will continue to say.
You just keep advocating
when
and
people
sensitizing.
hear, you know how Nigerians are. Sometimes it's like, I don't want wahala. Even if that's the reason they will do it. At least when they start off with that and they see the benefits, then, it becomes a part of them.
When we started, everyone said, child safety. Who's going to listen to you? Is there money there? Who is going to sponsor you? And now here we are 11 years after. Now, you may not be generating funds, but at least we are getting the message across them.
And that's the important thing.
Very important.
I could do this all day.
I'm always available.
And I told people that you were bringing gist. And as usual, you did not disappoint.
I didn't just know my gist.
You don't know. We have to
I just cut it short to righteousness.
We have to do it again.
So I'm ready anytime.
I'll
bring it on. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. It's been such a pleasure.
Well done.
It's always a delight to have you.
Thank you so much.
Like I said, we won't stop talking
about
it.
Will not.
We won't stop doing what we're doing to keep our children safe, not only on the roads, but everywhere they are.
Everywhere they are.
Everywhere
Absolutely.
They are. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Such a
Thanks
pleasure.
for having me.
Thank you everyone for being a part of the Mindset today. Today with me in the house has been Bolanle Edwards, convener, Strap and Save Child Foundation. I have had a wonderful time and I'm sure you have as well. Until I come your way again, I am Yetunde Adenike. Stay blessed.